Hi everyone, I'm CEO. I'm making this 10 things about me and my Oracle cards, Morning Calm Oracle deck. In case you don't really know me and you're curious about who the creator is, I have a tendency to ramble, so I'm gonna try to keep this kind of short or maybe longish and keep this to 10 things. So number one, my spiritual awakening happened around 2016. Before then, I was not into anything woo-woo or anything spiritual. But around 2016, I started a meditation practice because everybody said that's what I should do. And then things started happening. I started having weird insights and knowing of things that I shouldn't know. I started having visions while I was working with the clients and seeing things. I started manifesting really well. And eventually I started getting visited by spirits that had crossed over. So I started, at first I was like, what the hell is happening to me? But then I started researching and exploring, and then the rest is history. Number two, I'm the founder of Alpha Female Sisterhood. So if you are female identifying, there is a community online. It's a Facebook group that I created. It's a safe space for people like us who are woo or woo curious women to kind of support each other and explore our spirituality and our everyday life. Number three, the work I do as a Korean American shaman or a spiritual mentor is, I would describe it as 50% grounded, 50% woo. I believe all this amazing intuition and gifts, psychic gifts, and all this guidance from our spirit guides or divine, all these things is supposed to help us thrive in our physical world. So it needs to help us in some type of a practical, pragmatic, realistic way. So a lot of work I do, it's all magical, very divine, very powerful stuff, but then we always bring it back into, so how is it gonna help us living our best life? Number four, I train as a shamanic practitioner under Four Winds Society in a program that studies medicine wheel, uses medicine wheel, and with a lineage in ancient Andean tribe, modern day Peru tribe form of healing. And I got trained in that and certified in that because I took 3 sessions of shamanic healing, including soul retrieval, and that cleared 30 plus years of childhood trauma that I had been carrying around. So it was such an incredible experience that, like, I've been carrying this childhood shit for 30 some years, and then I did a few sessions of shamanic healing and soul retrieval, and it just wasn't with me anymore. I was able to release it. So it was such a powerful healing. I wanted to learn how to do that. So I started getting trained. 1 year into doing shamanic work, through that program I learned, that's when my Korean shamanic God, spirit, guides, whatever you want to call them, but Korean shamanic guides started coming to me. They started telling me what I needed to do was to go to Korea. They just kept saying, go to Korea. You don't have to know anything else. Just go to Korea. Just go and go to these 3 different cities. So they told me to go to Seoul. They told me to go to Gyeongju. They told me to go to Jeju Island. And that's it. That was number 4. So number 5, so I did go to Korea. I followed the guidance. When I went to Korea in 2018, I ended up finding both of my teachers in a most divine way. I found my shaman teacher through a hiking guide that I was taking a walking hike. My other mentor and teacher is an author and is an expert in Korean shamanism, the history, all the mystic stuff. And I was buying his book, and he said he will meet me at Starbucks, and we ended up chatting at Starbucks, and then he ended up becoming a teacher. So that's where I found teacher, and then all this magical experience visiting Korea. Number 6, I was born and raised in Korea. I was 15 when I came to the States. So 15 years in South Korea, and then 30 years in USA. When I was younger, I wished that I was a little younger when I came here because I was self-conscious about my accent, my English skills. I thought, oh, I wish I came here when I was younger so I could speak more like a native English speaker. But looking back at my age right now, I'm so thankful that I was able to retain my fluency in the language and culture in both, so I can actually function and operate in both countries and both cultures. Number 7, my Korean shamanic lineage comes from my mother's line. So in Korean shamanism, there's something called spirit calling. So you do need to accept this calling to become a Korean shaman. And apparently in my mother's lineage, it's always been coming down, but a lot of generations of women in my mother's line, my maternal line, did not accept calling. When you don't accept the calling, sometimes you can suffer from disease or suffer from pretty shitty life. In my mother's line, in my paternal line, a lot of women had a really challenging life, a lot of challenges, including my mom. When I told my mom about this, my mom actually said she did remember a story. She was born as a last born of 8 children. And she said when she was born, a village shaman came to their house and asked for my mom, asked for the baby. And they said, we'll take this baby and raise her as a village shaman because she's supposed to be a shaman. And my grandmother was like, oh, no, like, you're not taking my baby. So that's like a story that my mom had forgotten until I told my mom about what's happening to me. So it's kind of a cool, interesting story. Number 8. So my mother's lineage come from North Korea in the line of shamans. My paternal ancestry is in South Korea, coming from a city called Gyeongju, which is kind of southeastern city. But regardless of your family tree, I believe the land, your ancestral land, is the most powerful ancestors. The land holds generations and generations of all of our ancestors living and dying. So our ancestral land holds so much more power and collective wisdom of ancestors than we can access through our direct family trees. So that's what I believe. So part of the reason I love going to Korea is there's something very powerful and special when you're connecting with your ancestral land. It's almost like you're plugging yourself into that land and you're being charged with so much energy and like healing and wisdom. Number 9, let me talk about number 9, oracle cards. Now let me talk about oracle cards. So oracle cards are one of my favorite tools because I think it really is a great practice for teaching anyone. You don't have to be super psychic or shaman or super intuitive, but it really teaches anyone to practice connecting to her own intuition and deciphering what that means and being able to verbalize it and then use that information in some pragmatic, helpful way. So I feel like oracle cards or tarot cards are a really great tool to help people do that. A lot of decks that are found in the West, so USA, Canada, or even European decks, there are a lot of beautiful decks, but there are not that many Asian themed decks. And when I found any Asian themed oracle deck, it was created by authors and creators who didn't come from that culture. So most of the time it was non-native cultural person writing the deck and then just using the images of the culture, or sometimes it was not even Asian theme, but there is a lack of representation. So I'll see beautiful decks and I'll see Asians presence or representation in a very tokenized or stereotypical way. So those are little things that I personally felt like I couldn't really connect fully. But I didn't think I would need to create the deck. I didn't think I would be the person to create the deck until on February this year, I was meditating. And I was meditating at this altar right here. And I was asking my guides, what should I focus on right now? It was right around when COVID pandemic things were being spoken of. I just felt like there's some type of a shift that was going to come, and I wanted to know what I needed to focus. And as soon as I asked that question, I was given a vision of 44 oracle cards with the messages on each card. When I saw it in a vision, I got out my journal and I hand wrote all 44 messages. I'll show you those journal pages because I think it'll be kind of cool. So here you can see, is it backwards? So it's like February 20th, and then I just could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just went all the numbers, and I was able to just sit down and just write them out. And then of course I had to like expand upon those messages, but the cards were written and channeled pretty quickly, and then I had to find an artist to paint it. So you might have seen my prototype deck. So at first they were decks like this. I had a little drawing in the front and then meanings in the back. So I started working. This was supposed to be a warrior, and then my wonderful artist created beautiful image. So this is my hand-drawn card, and then she created this. I'll give you some examples. This was my hand-drawn vision of crane spirit, and then she created that. There you go. So that's what the Morning Calm Oracle is. The video is long, but I hope you enjoyed the video somewhat and got to know me a little bit and feel a little bit better about knowing who the creator of Morning Calm Oracle is, why I ended up creating the deck. So thank you for watching. Enjoy your Oracle cards.